Hi there, everyone. Welcome to The Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's May 29th. Do you have a little sun trap in your garden? The perfect spot for an afternoon of lounging while reading your favorite book? The definition of a sun trap is a small, partially enclosed outdoor space which receives a disproportionate amount of sunlight due to favorable conditions. Think of south-facing areas of your garden, areas without light-blocking trees, areas that are sheltered from the wind and positioned to receive ample sunshine. Here's today's brevities. On this day, on May 29th, 1942, the actor John Barrymore died. Barrymore's granddaughter is the actress Drew Barrymore. When Barrymore was 35 years old and on the verge of stardom, he rented a quiet space in Greenwich Village from a wealthy widow named Juliette Nicholls. His flat was on the top floor of a Greek Revival townhouse. When Nicholls left for a while to go to Europe, Barrymore wrote her and asked if he could take some liberties with the roof. When he hired a contractor to do the work, he insisted that no measuring tools be used. He said, "I want everything crooked or off-center, like a Nuremberg poet's home. Just guess your way along, old man, as we all do about most things." He called the little shed with the porch New York's first penthouse, and it still stands today. He decided to add a full garden to the rooftop. He hauled up over 35 tons of Long Island topsoil in burlap bags, no less. Then he went to work, adding 8-foot cedars, cherry trees, and wisterias, not to mention the beehives. There was a flagstone path and hedges around the perimeter of the roof. When Nicholls returned from her European vacation, you can imagine her surprise at finding John Barrymore lounging in his rooftop garden, sitting serenely by an Asian reflecting pool, feeding the birds. And it's the death day of Joyce Winifred Vickery, who died today in 1979. An Australian, Vickery was a botanist who became famous for her work in forensic botany. In 1960, Australia was right in the middle of building the infamous Sydney Opera House. To pay for the construction, Australia held a lottery. Bazil Thorne spent £3, a quarter of his paycheck, and he purchased the winning ticket. He won £100,000. Tragically, after his win, his 8-year-old son Graeme was kidnapped, held for ransom, and brutally murdered, a crime that stunned the country. And ultimately, botanist Joyce Vickery helped solve the case. She had been tasked with identifying 2 plant particles from the boy's clothing. Vickery recognized them as pieces from common garden plants and not the plants that were found in the area of scrub where the boy's body had been found. Apart from the Graeme Thorn case, Vickery had accumulated an unrivaled field knowledge of grass species. In Unearthed Words, here's a poem called I Am Going to Sleep by Latin American poet and feminist Alfonsina Storni, who was born today in 1892. Storni was known as one of Argentina's most respected poets. In 1916, she titled her first series of essays, The Restlessness of the Rosebush. In 1935, Storni was vacationing in Uruguay when she first discovered a lump in her left breast. Following a mastectomy, Storni resumed her work with renewed energy and determination. But by 1938, she confided in her closest friends that her cancer had returned. Storni sent "I Am Going to Sleep," her poignant final poem, to the newspaper before drowning herself in the sea. Teeth of flowers, hairnet of dew, hands of herbs, you perfect wet nurse. Prepare the earthly sheets for me and the down quilt of weeded moss. I am going to sleep, my nurse. Put me to bed. Set a lamp at my headboard, a constellation, whatever you like. All are good. Lower it a bit. Leave me alone. You hear the buds breaking through. A celestial foot rocks you from above, and a bird traces a pattern for you so you'll forget. Thank you. Oh, one request. If he telephones again, tell him not to keep trying, for I have left. Today's book recommendation is A Gentle Plea for Chaos, Reflections from an English Garden by Mirabel Osler. When Penelope Hobhouse reviewed this book, she said, like no other writer, Osler captures the pure enchantment of gardening. In this book, Osler wrote, "Garden concepts are threaded through centuries. We pull on them as on a string, not knowing from where our inspiration germinated, only that we each gather up different threads to form whatever pleases us." For today's garden chore, stack up those annual flower seed packets like planes on a runway. Just as with vegetables, a single sowing of flowers won't take you from early season to late fall. That's why successively sowing your flowers is so important. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. It's the anniversary of the wedding of the botanist power couple Townsend Brandegee and Kate Curran, married on this day in 1889. Townsend had found Kate working as the curator during his first trip to California to visit the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. They were both exceptionally bright, enthusiastic about botany and the natural world, and they were both quite accomplished. They were both in their early 40s, and so their friends were quite surprised when they arrived to discover a quiet wedding for Townsend and Kate in San Diego. Their honeymoon was a 500-mile nature walk, collecting plant specimens from San Diego to San Francisco. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up, and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.